Thank you.
Okay.
Well, who number 24? No, 23. Who was he, right?
Yeah, so 23.
Hello. I just pasted it in.
Oh, you're getting a...
Ah, fabulous.
That works.
Yeah.
Why doesn't
Yeah.
mine do that? Okay, I'm taking mine out.
Shall I share my screen while I do it, or
No,
shall I just go for it? No, don't worry.
Just go for it.
Yeah. Now, the background of Russia and the influences. Where should I put that?
So we've got...
Could do content.
Context, those 27.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So let's do this. Yeah.
This is fantastic.
Social constructivism, 3 aspects, and let's put that.
Okay, so that's going to be right up at the front.
Yeah,
so
that's the theory.
Theory, yes, so the very beginning, yeah.
Okay. And then his emphasis, which was tools and play, language and social interaction process, cognitive development.
Yeah.
This would go into what he discovered, isn't it?
Yeah. Chuck it in there for a moment.
Okay. Let me check it all in there then.
Yeah, I really think the thing to do is get everything in, and then we can just go through, even if we don't tonight, we can go through and streamline it.
Okay, yeah. Move up and down. Let me go back to it.
I've got to say that I've done a lot of, well, not a lot, but I spent the afternoon sort of reading this, and I haven't got very far with really understanding it.
I have, sorry, I've got hot tea. Looked more into like child learning to do with the Singular project homework for this week. And there were some really nice quotes that I found. One of them being, let me just find it. It was from an article called The Hurried Child. And the first quote, which I can't find, was really nice. And it was to do with children learning through play. And how, as adults, we don't see that as learning, but as children, it's the concept of learning, which was a really nice quote, just in general, that I found on the fly looking at it, which then later went on into Lev's work.
Right.
So through not looking at this side of the project, I've looked at this side of the project, kind of thing.
Yes. Well, this is how it works, isn't it? Elva, are you still cutting and pasting?
Yeah, I'm going to finish soon. Yes, implications. Where are the implications going?
Okay, so...
An example? No.
No. Hang on. Implications could be, how does it work? No, hang on. It could be... how can it be used in a creative learning environment?
That'd be good.
Can you tell me what slide would that be?
So that could be slide 11.
Well, it could go slide 11, or it could go in the summary in slide 19. So
Okay, yeah, I'll just test it and we'll move it around.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, implications. Because it's bullet points, so it can be, yeah. And then the last one,
link to other theorists.
Link to other theorists. That was
that could go in 36,
Oh, yeah.
right at the end.
You
Or
had
33, or 33. Where
That'd
his
be quite
theory is
good.
accepted.
Because then it's other people building on top of that.
Yeah.
no. I think it's 31. How does he fit in relate to other theories?
That's fine. Let's put him in
Yeah.
31.
Yeah. Yeah, fine.
Because he also relates into, and I can't remember their names, the three guys who were involved in the scaffolding concept.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, they take it over after he dies.
Yes. So, that could maybe fall in there again as well. And I wrote something on that somewhere.
I didn't write anything about it, but I think it's Doberman, isn't it?
Scaffolding. Here we go.
No.
Yeah. So if you look at slide 6, I put somebody else put some stuff in here as well. I put a load of stuff in about scaffolding.
Yeah.
I was a bit concerned about the scaffolding thing because it came after him.
Yes, because it's others that are built up on his work, isn't it?
Yes. So I mean, he as I understand it, he determined that there was this zone and there was this way of working, but others kind of formulated this way of working to take it forward. And I think it's easy to confuse that with his work.
So
I really like the example. Who put the example in?
I don't know if that was the bike one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really liked that. I thought that was quite a nice increase on it, because most when you just ride a bike, you sort of just chuck the child on and go for it. But this was a really nice working towards it one, which I hadn't heard before.
Yeah.
I thought the imagery would be quite easy with that as well.
Yeah, so I think that's worth a read through. So should we just have a quick run through from the top, see where we've got holes, because that's probably our next fill up, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sounds good.
So,
Yes, let's do that.
So starting on slide 2, we've got social constructivism theory. What is it? So let's see, 3 aspects to cognitive development: historical process, social nature, and meditation employing tools. Do we have, it doesn't really tell us what it is, does it?
Not quite, but then would you not count that as to what it is in the next slide?
Yeah, so, yeah, okay, so what it is, next slide. So we've got the collaboration of student with student or student with teacher, where social interaction is the means by which learners construct new meanings.
Slide number are you on again? Sorry.
We're on 3.
Do you want another shared screening?
That's all right. I'm on the thing now.
Yeah.
So.
Social constructivism emphasizes that all cognitive functions, including learning, are dependent on interactions with others. Still doesn't tell us what it is. Learning is critically dependent on the qualities of a collaborative process within an education community, which is situation specific and context bound.
Is that not ZPD though?
Sorry?
Is that not what ZPD is? The dependent on interactions and learning through others?
Yes. Yeah.
Have I got that right? Is that not what ZP, or is it the same thing?
I understand that I understood that ZPD was the difference between it was the area between what you could learn on your own and what you could learn if you were guided.
Okay.
That's how I understood it. Please don't take that as gospel.
And it's the distance in between. That makes more sense.
He's looking at that area between.
Right.
But his social constructivism, as I understood it, was that, and I think I put it in somewhere, that people in Russia, he found that he believed that people who came from homes that were slightly well off, had
They had a
artifacts, had
better
books,
learning, didn't they? Than
they had an advantage.
Yes. Yes.
So maybe that needs to come in there.
But then would that go somewhere with the theorist in that sense, and his views and the time? So in which case is it worth talking about the theorist first?
It could be.
And then what the theory was after?
It could well be. So we could have this the wrong way round, couldn't we?
That's quite a good idea. Just switch it around. Make it work for you. Yeah.
Question is, can you bulk copy and paste, or just
shall I give it a go?
There you go.
If you want.
There's always an undo button. You can always use that.
True.
From there.
I'm just loving Lee's backdrop with the lights. It's just fab.
I'll do you the panorama if you like.
Yeah, go for it.
So that's my sculpture.
Nice.
Oh. Is that your LinkedIn profile picture?
And then the gallery.
Nice.
In there somewhere. Hold on. I'm back to front. That coily bit there.
Nice.
No, anyway. It's too noisy in there. I'm not
Don't go in there.
Yes.
Oh, great stuff.
Rebecca's in there somewhere.
Oh, good. Say hi. Say hi if you see her.
Anyway, there you go.
Chaps, I've swapped that around. So we've now.
Oh, what a mock.
We now start with social construction theory and introduction. Then we go straight into who is the man.
Mm-hmm.
We go through those slides, and then when we get to about slide 19, I think it was, we come to what is it?
Fabulous. Yeah, that looks good.
Maybe don't need a summary in there, so shall I get rid? I'll get rid of that as well. The only problem is we're meant to do 20 slides, so we're going to have to pad something out. But let's get something in first. So
very slowly.
Yeah, well, it could be that you just have an extra picture and you just explain the picture a bit more. For example.
Yeah. Like I say, we can pad it out.
Yeah.
So, for instance, the man. Oh, you've done it. I was just doing it. The trouble is, you guys are just so quick for us old people who are not so good at technology.
Sorry, I am very good at technology.
Right.
To be fair, she's got the original file, so it might be quicker.
Yeah, I just dropped it from my folder.
Okay, so we've got the man, so we can talk about the fact that he had hair and a beard. We can then go into, he was Russian, Jewish fan, so maybe we need to find out a little bit more about him.
Yeah, okay.
Kind of ridiculous. That needs to come at the end, doesn't it?
Sorry, I was talking and I had muted myself. I downloaded a really long book. It was all biography stuff about him, and I was going to do a bit of research and try and fill out the more of his.
Okay, well, would you have time to do that between now and next week? Yes,
that is my designated thing that I was going to do. So yeah.
Okay. Well, in which case, those sort of holes that we've got here, you could most likely be filling, I would think.
I'll try my best. And I was going to be talking about it with Jane, who obviously can't make it this evening. So perhaps I'll get in touch with her via LinkedIn. And
oh yeah, Nikki is not either. She's not here either, isn't it?
No.
Okay.
That's okay. What I'll do is I'll post the link like I did with the last one onto the LinkedIn group so they can watch what's happened and whatnot, and then if they log on to the presentation they'll be able to see what's done and not done, what space filling.
I think the recording was super helpful for me. I watched it the next day and it was really fun to watch.
I re-listened to it and just thought, there's a lot of waffle in here where we're just chatting, going, how do we do this? What do we do with this? How do we do this?
Anyway, okay. So let's see, what do we have to do for next, as soon as possible for next week?
I think what I'm just reading through these. I mean, don't forget, I just threw these titles in originally, so they don't have to stick. But some of these are relevant. Were his theories accepted? I've read somewhere about that, but I haven't copied that in anywhere. Can't remember where.
And I wanted to add 2 slides. One, that it would be the application of DTD theory, which is scaffolding. I thought we needed a slide for it, but I think I saw somewhere, there was someone added already a scaffolding slide, which is very good. And the other one was the key elements. I think to what is it, and then jump into the key elements of the theory, and then what the theory is about and how it was discovered. I think that would be a nice way to go about it.
Okay. Well, I mean, the thing to do is just to jump in and add those pages in where you think they go.
Okay.
I mean, we thought last week we just use this as a working document. We may decide when we do our evaluation that this system didn't work. But if we just get in there and just add the things in, don't forget we're going to be 20 slides in each half.
You remade them last week when
so we need to get
gone to shit.
from slide 18 to slide 34. How many slides is that? Who's good at maths?
Can you repeat the numbers again?
16 slides, so we need to have 4 more slides in we need 4 more slides in the theory.
Okay, then that works.
And we need 3 more in who is he?
Well, we can. The thing is about these presentations, if there's a lot of content in one slide, what we can do is break it into a few.
Yes, we can
because they are short.
Yep.
Yeah, so I think we shouldn't worry too much for now on how many,
I agree. I think we just need to get the content in. And I mean, if I think, as you say, is if there are other titles or other headers, just drop those slides in where you think they should be.
Okay, we'll do.
Because then we can all just add to this.
Yes.
I mean, it's starting to take shape, I feel.
Sorry?
It's starting to take shape.
Yeah.
Had someone else join the group then for a minute?
Yeah, apparently the private view shuts at past, so I might have to vanish for 5 minutes.
Okay.
I'll try and come back.
Well,
if I can't come back, I will read my stuff and start adding to those slides as soon as I can.
That'd be great.
Okay.
If you can't come back, we might not let you in. Might not let you back in the room.
Okay. Bye.
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 Okay. So we just need to make this as productive as possible, don't we? So should we? I'm looking at slide 18. So should we just go through these and see if there's anything we can drag into another slide?
Yep.
So slide 18, I'm only starting here because I think there's more in the second half than there is in the first half. So slide 18, what is it? So we've got a couple of things in here. It's the collaboration of student with student or student with teacher where social interaction is the means by which learners construct new meanings.
So that in itself is quite a mouthful.
It is. It's very...
for a first slide, as it were.
Yeah. I think we're gonna have to read this so it's less academic in a way, doesn't it?
Yeah, because you could just do the social interaction of student with student or student with teacher in a way to learn new meanings or construct new meanings. Just sort of changing the sentence a bit.
Yeah, I think we should say it like we would say it if I was talking to you and explaining what it is, you know, instead of making it so academic, because it can be very confusing. Personally, I found.
Is it a methodology or is it a theory?
That's a good question for 8:30 on a Thursday night.
Well, it's a theory, isn't it?
I have put down that it's an educational theory, but just because of the book, I mean, yeah, the concept. I just think it's a theory if it makes you think and it's talked about, but it's not implemented like a method. No, a methodology sounds like there's a steps and you follow them and it goes, you know, there's rules. Does it make sense?
You're still here, aren't you?
Yeah.
Okay, so Tony, I'm confused, and I think we're all a little bit on the edge of this. Where zone, what is it? ZPD fits in.
Oh, the ZPD, excellent. Yes, the good old ZPD. Right. So that is an aspect of the theory of social constructivism, and it basically means that I can do a certain amount of things by myself, and when I work with somebody who is more knowledgeable or more able than me, I can expand the range of things that I can do.
Yep.
And then I learn how to do those things myself, and then I no longer need that person. So the zone of proximal development, according to this theory, is how we gradually increase our ability to learn and do new things through social interaction with a more knowledgeable other. So it's this relationship between the ZPD, the zone of proximal development, and what he called the more knowledgeable other, which could be a teacher, but it could equally be a sibling, a peer, an older person, a younger person, just somebody who knows more about whatever it is I'm trying to learn about.
Yeah, I thought that was the conclusion of his theory. I thought that was his findings.
Yeah.
Is it? So
Yeah,
do we treat the ZPD as a conclusion of this theory?
You can treat it as an output of his theory, yes. I mean, it's like a constituent part of his theory, I guess. It's one of the building blocks of his theory. So however you want to describe it. But the theory of social constructivism is generally about how we learn through social interaction. And he argued that this zone of proximal development was one of the sort of the founding principles of his theory, if you like.
But it seems the part that I'm struggling with is separating ZPD from social constructivism. I mean, ZPD isn't social constructivism; it's part of it, isn't it?
Yeah, it's part of it. So you've got in social constructivism, you have various different component parts, I guess, that make it up. One is the ZPD, this zone. Another one is this more knowledgeable other, who could be, as I say, a range of people. And another part of it is scaffolding, which you may have come across.
Yes, it's not scaffolding. Was scaffolding not something that was after him? It was a development of his theory. Yeah,
it's something that sort of came out of that, is just how the more knowledgeable other works to sort of scaffold learning. Because it's interesting, because he was working in Russia in sort of 1930s, his work wasn't published in the West until 1978. So there's this kind of weird overlap where he was writing about stuff, and then people were finding out about it, and then sort of saying, "Oh, this is a great idea," and then developing their own sort of interpretations of it. So scaffolding, sort of grew out of it, but scaffolding comes from social constructivism. This idea that a more knowledgeable person creates a scaffold, literally, around a learner of knowledge, stuff, experiences, whatever it happens to be, to help them get to the next level. And then sort of either removes that scaffolding so that they can function at that level, or creates more scaffolding to help them move to the next level.
So it's all about helping one another learn on top of that, which is what was not liked by Marxism time learning.
So, yeah, it depends how complicated you want to get, because obviously you can get quite into the details of these things. But I don't know if you've read anything at the moment around cognitive constructivism, which was the other sort of comparable theory at the time. So cognitive constructivism basically talks about how we construct information by building it on what we already know. So I know something, I get some new information, I literally construct it on top of what I know in my brain. I get some more information, I construct that. So the cognitive constructivism aspect was about how I do it myself. The difference that Vygotsky proposed was that this happens socially, that this doesn't happen in isolation, that I construct this stuff, but I don't just do it myself, I do it with the help of others. Yeah, and that all learning, as a human, he argued that all learning happens socially, that we can't, it's very difficult for us to learn and become sort of like fully realised as a human without learning socially, because we're born into a social situation in a family.
I quite agree to that.
That's his argument. So, and this is the interesting thing about these theories, is that you as you explore more of them, you tend to find that, as you say, Elva, there's ones that you feel more comfortable with. You think, yeah, that's what learning looks like to me. And some people go, actually, I prefer this kind of theory. And usually it's a combination of all of them, because a theory is a theory. It's not a proven thing. It's a theory of how we learn. And all of these theories have value. None of them are like, none of them say definitively this is how learning happens. It's all a theory of how learning happens. And this is why learning theory can get quite abstract. And it's just useful to know different ways of thinking about learning, to enable us to kind of think, well, how do I feel about how my learners learn? And if I think through a sort of a social constructivist perspective, what's my role as an educator in helping my students? So clearly I'm building some scaffolding for my students, and I'm developing this, I'm helping them get into their zone of proximal development, and I'm doing that all the time by providing appropriate resources and scaffolding and whatever, But then you can look at learning from like experiential learning, where you can say, right, learning is all about creating appropriate experiences for my students, and I do that, and then they learn through doing, they learn through experience. Often it's not one or other of these things. It's, learning is a very complex thing that people have developed lots of ideas around, and these theories are just particular ways of thinking about how learning happens.
Can you I'm stuck, sorry, on zone of proximal development.
Okay.
Can you just said there, as educators, we help people get into that zone. Yeah. Can you give me an example of how we do that?
Okay, so let's in your area. So, you screenwriting or film production? What's your area?
I'm film directing, but
film directing.
Any area.
So let's say film directing, which I don't know a huge amount about, but so a student comes onto your course, they want to be a director. They have an idea of what directing is. They've watched loads of films. They're enthusiastic, but they can't do it because they don't know what it is, and they don't know the detail of what's involved.
Right.
As an educator, you create a series of activities, support, resources, advice, feedback, which is the scaffolding, And as the learner interacts with all of those things, they become more knowledgeable about directing.
Yep.
And gradually they then develop their own knowledge. So what you are helping that learner do, according to this theory, is you're helping them do things that they can't do without you. So that proximal development, that zone of proximal development, is the ideal place where they're trying to get to for a particular task. So let's say, you've got your level 1 students. By the end of level 1, you want them to be able to do a certain amount of things. So understand the basic principles of directing. Yep. And they can't do that before they work with you. But as they work with you, and through their interaction with you and the experiences you provide, they move into that zone. So gradually they're able to do more things.
Yeah.
And then you create a new zone for them, where then they move into that. And so you're creating these achievable areas that they can gradually move into as they interact with all the scaffolding that you provide them. So it's a sort of you gradually move the goalposts a little bit so they can do it, and then you go, right, so now we're going to expand it here.
Yeah, so you're introducing more and more things to them.
Yeah.
To experiment and to okay, I understand it now. I understand that. So just sorry, bear with me. So that is just one aspect of social constructivism.
Yep.
So other aspects are the social interaction and all the other things. So okay, it's kind of coming clear now. It's actually very difficult. I find it very difficult. I speak for myself here. I find it very difficult sometimes when you're reading papers and academic talk.
Yep.
You actually understand what the hell they mean.
You said it, Mark. You've absolutely nailed it. This is why in that first session on the first Wednesday, I make the point that a lot of people come into this area, and because it's new knowledge, it's new terminology, and it's unfamiliar, you've got to use the constructivism analogy. You're trying to build this new knowledge on top of nothing almost. It's like I'm reading about these theories and these terms and these ideas and these concepts, but I've not really got anything to connect it to. And almost like the hard bit at the start is constructing your own understanding of what these things mean. And that is challenging, and it does take a bit of time. And it also depends on the quality of what you read. So some articles are well written, some books are well written, some really aren't. And you're reading stuff sometimes and just going, I don't know what that is. What are they talking about? And then you read another interpretation of whatever it is you're trying to learn about, and that makes sense. So I would encourage you to sort of read around these things, because often you gradually find somebody and you go, no, that totally makes sense. I get that now.
Yeah.
But the academic literature can often be quite dense.
Yeah, I mean, I don't find that the book you gave us, Carl Aubrey and Alison Riley, I find some of their writing very difficult to understand.
Right. Okay. Well, that's a really useful thing to realise at this point. And I had the same experience when I did the PG Cert. Some articles that they gave me were great, and I was like, I get it now. And then I'd read something else and go, gee, I don't understand that at all.
Yeah.
So if you find that the book isn't the best articulation of that, look elsewhere. And
that's absolutely.
Yeah, don't ever think that it's because you're struggling to understand it. I mean, there is a bit of struggle involved, but it's often about finding somebody who articulates it in a more effective way.
Yeah, can we book you more often? Can we book you in our meetings more often?
Can you be part of Team X?
That's what I'm here for. There was a part of me that was always with you. But yeah, it is challenging. Some of this stuff is quite dense, and until you've built up some kind of residual understanding of what these things are, it's kind of like it can be a bit bewildering sometimes. But just come at it from different perspectives and find people who write in a certain way that articulate it in a way that makes sense.
Yeah, I think there's a danger. So I'm doing a lot of talking, guys. There's a danger where you understand it, you articulate it in the way that you understand it, and then you try and find the resources to support what you said.
Yep.
As opposed to being influenced by the resources to interpret what you think.
Yeah, and I think that's true right through academic research, particularly in the area of teaching and learning. But I think in academic research generally, I mean, there are some key texts that you draw on because they, over time they get recognised as being very influential.
Right.
But I think as researchers, when you get into sort of postgrad level, everyone tends to default to the people that they like, or it's very difficult for us not to go with, I read that article and it totally blew my mind, so I'm going to cite that person all the time because I love that article or that author. So I think we all do that, and it's only when we get to someone like the hard text, like the learning theorists whose work has stood the test of time, that we have to start to grapple with some of the core concepts. But even then, I still find it useful, like, for example, trying to learn about some of the philosophers like Michel Foucault. I mean, like, you'd never read Foucault because it's totally impenetrable. But if you read somebody's account of Foucault, it makes a lot of sense because they've done a lot of the processing. But so you're sort of going to the summary of the text rather than the original text. So I think that's quite normal, I think.
Fine. Okay. Good. Cool. So, as you've been, privy to what we're doing here, are we approaching this the right way? Since we've only got a couple of weeks to sort this out.
The aim of the task is, well, twofold. It's for you to make sense of a theory.
Yep.
So each team is doing exactly what you guys are doing and kind of going, what's this, and what are the key points from this, and to just get to a point where you can explain it fairly quickly, obviously, because that's the point of the Petracutia, to people. So what are the key points of the theory? What were some of the key reasons why that theorist came up with that theory? So it doesn't need to go into massive detail, and it's not as if you're going to get quizzed within an inch of your life after your presentation, because obviously that's why I'm in the room and other people will be in the room, to answer those questions. The idea is that you're grappling with this to kind of get you to have a go at making sense of it, basically.
So the deadline for this is the 25th, which is the Wednesday, or 24th.
Yes.
So we're pitching this in the Wednesday session.
Yeah, each team will go do their Petracutias, then we'll have a bit of discussion, and the next team will go a bit of discussion.
Do we get a breakout time before that? Because we've got one more Thursday, but at the moment we've not had Nikki in our sessions.
Yes, yeah.
So I wanted to query.
You not officially from me, but you can easily create a free Zoom account. And I think last year quite a few of the teams just said, one of us is going to set up a Zoom account. You can register. With the free version, you get, I think, 40 minutes of conferencing time for free, and then you have to create a new session or rejoin the session. But or you can do it on Skype. So it's kind of, I would suggest that that's probably a way to do it. If you want to meet outside of the Thursday sessions, that's probably the way to go. Just get one of you to set up a free Zoom account.
Okay.
I think I inadvertently did that. I'll have to look when we come off, because if I press that button now, you'll probably okay, cool.
Cool, I'll get stuff up. Yeah.
So I've lost you, Tony.
I think Tony is mute.
He's a really good mind.
There you go. Sorry, my mic breaks up. Yeah, this is just about giving a summary of the key points of the theory, the key points of the theorist.
Right. Okay, perfect. We'll crack on then.
Brilliant. I will leave you to it, and any problems, just give me a call.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Fab.
Yeah. Okay.
That's a relief.
Yeah, that seems a lot. Oh, it's ask for help. I was like, how do you call him? You just shout his name really loudly, but it says ask for help at the bottom.
Right. I think we're doing the right thing, but I think we've got to the point where there's a lot of information appearing here that we need to work on to make it more simple.
Yeah, I agree.
So I'm going to suggest that we just do that in our own time when we can. If we work on this one document, it can evolve.
Yeah, and more notes from people.
Yeah.
Sure.
Like, Tuesdays for me are quite a good day to crack down and do some of this. So I could always do it on a Tuesday, but on a Monday or a Wednesday, I can't kind of thing.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
say for me, it's better Monday and Wednesdays. So yeah, great.
And for me, it's Thursday. So this is. I think this is quite good in a way because it means we can see what each other's doing.
yeah, and it's going to constantly get updated in that sense.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is great. And then if we start to see holes, then we can contact each other through the group. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Lee seems to be quite confident of adding in a whole load of stuff about the who was he.
Mm-hmm.
So that's good. So if he's attacks that in the next day or so, then that's great because we can start to work on that.
So it's mostly more the who he is as a person, isn't it? As opposed to other bits have kind of filled in with the theory.
Yeah.
And go from there. I'm now wondering whether the bike example I had is scaffolding rather than ZPD.
Yeah, look.
I think ZPD is the same as the scaffolding, but they call it scaffolding from the 70s. I think that's what I understood. I might be wrong, but that's what I understood.
It could be that the theory has been built up on past then.
Yes,
and that's
exactly.
Yeah. Okay, because I was looking at it going, it's kind of, because if scaffolding is you increase the goal each time.
Look, here it says the application of ZPD terms scaffolding. So I think that they should rename it. But that's my understanding through the book. It's page 60, if you want to look at it yourself. Because the way this is written, you can understand different things.
Yeah. But it's also the whole, everyone interprets something differently.
Yes. My interpretation is that they should rename it. Yeah,
the way Tony explained it there was quite good. The zone is the bit within the scaffolding, if you like. So the scaffolding is what you create around it.
Around it to help.
The lectures, the play, the tasks, the whatever, and what you're doing is empowering that person in that zone to lift themselves through it. So when they've got all that information, they're then at the next zone.
Yes.
Sorry.
Apparently, Jerome Bruner was the one who developed the theory further later. So I'm going to add his name so we can look into it.
Yes. Cause it says the application is, you call it ZPD. The application of ZPD term scaffolding. So it's the application of that understanding of that zone.
Yes.
Yeah. So does the bicycle work? Let's have a quick look at the bicycle example. Teaching child.
I can see. Okay.
So I don't know whether, as a whole, teaching a child to ride a bike is ZPD, and then the more in-depth approach is scaffolding.
Yes, because by lowering the seat and removing the pedals.
Where did you take that from?
It was a video lecture. I was just sort of scrolling through YouTube and Vimeo and stuff and just looking for examples of ZPD and stuff like this, and it just did a click over, like if you don't click within 30 seconds this video will play. And it was just this guy giving a talk on, I think it was on presenting himself or something like that, and he was talking about scaffolding and ZPD in this one bit, and he gave the example of a kid riding a bike, and it was just a really nice example, so I noted it down.
Okay.
Because it was basically the kid to ride a bike, hand on the back of child, let them go kind of thing, but then this one was a get the child on a better understanding of how the mechanics work, take off the things, let them go so they feel the confidence of swerving without anything, and it was just a really nice example. So
very good. Okay.
But I'm wondering if it is technically both of them in that sense, if one is more in depth and more not nurtured, but more.
No, but I'm looking at your diagram above this, and I mean, it's, you know, cannot complete the task by yourself. That's fine. I want to ride a bike. I've no idea how you do that. Okay. Then with verbal help from a skilled peer providing the scaffolding. So this is how the bike works. This is how it's going to go. We're going to take the pedals off. We're going to help you do it. Now have a go without the pedals. That will lead you towards it. That's guided assistance from the skilled peer, because I've decided that's the way that you're going to learn how to do it. And then eventually you get the confidence to do it. So I feel it does work within that.
Okay. Happy with that?
And it's great because I've got a whole lot of pictures of bikes which I use for a lecture. I can just sort them out.
Excellent.
Cool. I always think an example helps to explain things easily.
I find when we had all the reading we had to do over the summer, there was one document, I think it was the pink document, that had about 5 or 6 examples of the same thing but done differently.
Yep.
And it wasn't until the 3rd or 4th one that I read in that I went, oh, I get it now. And it's because I had to go through the different narratives, if you like, to find the one that suited me to understand.
Yes. Well, and what's quite interesting is when I asked Tony that question, he immediately said, okay, in your field, this is how it might work. And you immediately can relate to that. Cool. So, is there anything else we're not sure on? Role play, that's another one that was quite interesting.
I'm still not sure about the difference between constructivism and constructionism. I know Jane was looking into that. I vaguely touched on it today, but I didn't quite get it. It's one I need to look into a bit further.
Look into it further, and again, don't take me for this one, but I had a quick look at that, and I got the impression that constructionism could be measured by the output. So you literally constructed something.
Okay.
Whereas constructivism is the process by which you learn how to do that. That's how I kind of picked it up.
So one's more the physical outcome of the session, whereas the other one is the session itself and how it worked.
Yeah, that's how I understood it. But
okay.
I am not the sharpest tool in the box when it comes to some of these things.
But that's good, because then with that in mind, I can think how you've done it and then see if I get it in a similar aspect.
Yeah.
Okay.
So on slide 28.
Slide 28.
I've just thrown some things in here because I thought, what are the advantages of this system, and the language needs to be changed, obviously, but students hold on to more, or perceive to hold on to more, because they've kind of learnt it themselves.
Mm-hmm. There's that sense of pride.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I had something from that actually in my book. I had through play, develop cultural understanding of rules, self-assurance, encouraging further play and independent learning. Oh. Hello.
50 seconds to return to the main session.
Yeah, I think I honestly think what we just need to do this week is just all dive in here and just put our 2 penny worth in.
Yeah,
that's cool.
And if we just if we add things, if we repeat things, then I don't think it matters.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I'll put images and more tags, and I'll try to fill any gap that I can see.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll do the same.
Cool.
Right. Okay.
Okay.
Really nice to see you guys again.
Yeah, same here. Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
All the time, but unless you want to meet outside of it, but you can actually get quite a bit done when there's five of you sort of working on things.
I think we very much were like cutting through the facts. We don't need that. We don't need that.
Irrelevant. Don't need that. Let's just focus on that.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Okay, well done, everybody. That was good. I was sort of whizzing around the rooms there, and there's lots of intense work going on. And I think you're all making very good progress. I'm hoping that you're maybe not seeing the benefits of it's the wrong word, but hopefully you're sort of starting to see the value in grappling with the learning theories and just how it's creating some new thinking around learning. Okay. So deadline for this is Wednesday 25th. So we've got one more Thursday session next week, and then the Wednesday session. If you do want to meet outside of those, you can set up a free Zoom account, and some of the teams did this last year. So one person would set up a free account and then just send an invite. So if you do want to meet as a team outside of these Thursday sessions, by all means do. I don't tend to schedule anything else so that it's not mandatory for anybody. But if you want to self-organise that, I think you can get a 40-minute. The free Zoom account gives you 40 minutes for free, and then you have to reload it. But that is one way for you to continue to meet outside of this if you feel that you need to. Okay.
Tony, a suggestion.
Yep.
So now that everybody has access to MyOCA,
yep.
I could set up Blackboard Collaborate on the PG Cert page, which is very, very, very similar to Zoom, but doesn't have the 40-minute only cut-off. If you want me to do that.
Yeah, so you and I can work on that, then we'll make some rooms available if people want to use those for free. That's a good point, Matthew.
Yeah. Just throwing it out there as an option.
Good idea. Brilliant. Thank you all very much. Have a great weekend. You've all got your individual task. Any problems, get in touch with me via email. And I look forward to seeing you all next week. I'll put the readings up over the weekend, ready for Monday as per last week. Okay. Thank you very much. Well done on week 2. Awesome stuff. Looking forward to your presentation. Okay. Thank you very much.
Bye.